The following may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised.
Tobago politician Shomari Hector hospitalized in stable condition after vehicular accident. PNM's Tobago Executive Council Public Relations Officer candidate Shomari Hector is now hospitalized after being involved in a vehicular accident shortly after polls for the election opened on Sunday. According to reports, the former THA Assistant Secretary was involved in an accident along Milford Road in Bon Accord near the community's Anglican church around 6 a.m. His vehicle reportedly ran off the road and hit a concrete structure. Firefighters who responded to the scene said Hector was trapped in his vehicle and had to be freed. They also said he suffered severe leg and chest injuries and was stabilized at the scene before being taken to hospital. Around midday, current PNM THA Minority Leader Kelvin Morris provided an update that Hector was in stable condition. "We thank Almighty God for that, and we continue to pray for his speedy recovery, and we wish him well going forward," Morris said. "We hope that whatever injuries would have been sustained are not too critical and that he can recover quickly, speedily, and we would continue to give him the support as a party and just as human beings going forward to ensure that he's back on his feet, ready and raring to go again." PNM's Public Relations Officer Laurel Lazama Lee Singh also offered prayers for Hector and his family on behalf of herself and the party. She said once more information comes forward about his condition, the party will do what is necessary to support him. "As soon as we are fully appraised by his family, once they are briefed and they go on to inform the Tobago Council and the wider PNM, then we will know we can support him. We are willing to support its members as best as possible, so we wait on the advice from family," Lazama Lee Singh said. Hector was an assistant secretary in the Division of Tourism, Culture and Transportation and THA deputy president during the PNM's last tenure. However, he was not selected by the party to contest his Bethel Newgrange seat in last December's THA elections, where the PNM lost 14-1 to the Progressive Democratic Patriots. Hector is running unopposed for the council's Public Relations Officer position in the PNM's internal election. Commissioner of Police advises suspect in PC Gilks homicide to turn himself in. The main suspect in the homicide of police officer Clarence Gilks in Rich Plain, Diego Martin, can easily make the necessary arrangements to turn himself in, Commissioner of Police MacDonald Jacobs said yesterday. Speaking during a National Security Ministry media conference yesterday, Commissioner Jacobs said he was a bit confused about why the question of the suspect's surrender was still being asked, as he's made himself clear on the issue a number of times. He said many suspects have made arrangements through their defense attorneys in the recent past to surrender to police, so it's a well-known practice. Commissioner Jacobs' comments came after a suspect in PC Gilks' homicide said he was willing to surrender, but only if certain assurances about his safety were given. Even though they are making the request and saying they wish for him to turn himself in, our operations will continue with our leads and our search to arrest persons who are responsible, Jacob said during the conference. Because at times persons are unwilling to go to a station, we have provided numbers, and I'll give the numbers 483-1170 to 1174. These numbers will be answered by selected senior officers from the homicide department, and they will discuss with a person or lawyers the manner in which the person can give himself up. However, the head of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service warned any people harboring suspects that they will face criminal charges if they knowingly hide and prevent police from apprehending the suspect. Also speaking during the media conference, National Security Minister Fitzgerald Hines said he was very disturbed and traumatized by the homicide of P.C. Gilks. He offered his condolences to Gilks' family and the entire police service. This young man would have put on his boots and uniform and gone into the community to protect us, and he would have lost his life, very sadly in a sad circumstance. Of course, the matter is under investigation, and I've been informed by the police commissioner that the police are engaged in a massive manhunt for suspects around this issue. And of course, based on the briefing I had this morning, this operation is still ongoing, Hines said. I did myself hear of what you just raised, that some person wants to hand himself over to the police. For me, that's a good thing, because if the police have interest in you and you hand yourself over, it makes the police's job a little easier. P.C. Gilks was erased while taking part in a police operation in Rich Plain, Diego Martin on Friday. According to reports, Gilks was part of a team of 12 officers from the Western Division Task Force who went to Rich Plain Road, Diego Martin, with a search warrant for a man wanted by the police. While at the location around 3 p.m., however, officers allegedly came under heavy gunfire by at least 3 suspects being sought in the matter. They took cover and returned fire at the assailants. P.C. Gilks was hit in the crossfire and was placed in a police vehicle and taken to the St. James Infirmary, where he died while undergoing treatment. Suspect's mom claims police have been trying to erase her son since 2019. The mother of the suspect in the homicide of P.C. Clarence Gilks claimed on Friday that the police have been trying to erase him since he took legal action against them in 2019. Gaddafi Romney said police attempted to shoot her 29-year-old son on Friday afternoon, but he ran off. She said when the officers called him to exit his home, he complied. My son put his hands up and they shot 20-something bullets behind him, and in doing so, they shot their own police officer, she said. This has since been flatly denied by officers on the scene and AG Police Commissioner MacDonald Jacob. The mother maintained that what she was saying was not hearsay. This is the second time they have tried to frame my son for something, and after he ran, they grabbed my other son, who was not in anything, she said. I am not saying that my son is a saint. In the past, he has fallen through the cracks of life, and he has been trying to get his act together for his children. But they have been harassing him for the last 2 years, she said. Just before COVID-19, he took out a lawsuit over the harassment, and then COVID came, she said. She said her son told her, they are trying to erase me. She said when he was held in July last year at a party, they took him to jail. He has since come out on bail. Keisha Gatt's hard life and ugly death. Keisha Gatt had spent most of her life battling the disease of addiction and hoping for a second chance at life. She spent months weaning herself off the substances that she felt controlled her very existence and praying to God for redemption. With 4 children and a life with a husband in Waterloo, Keisha had struggled for years to build some sense of stability, making her way to church on Sundays and being as present as possible for the sake of her family. But her life and the possibility of recovery would come to a sudden end on the morning of March 25 when her dismembered body was found off the junction in McBean, Couva. Her body had been separated by the impact of a passing vehicle. The driver of the vehicle fled the scene, and she would remain unidentified for almost 1 month before family members could locate her. 32-year-old Gat left behind 4 children, ages 11, 2, 1, and the last only a few months old. "No mother should ever feel this pain," said her mother, Shelley Gat. "I am in pain over how she went. Not one driver stopped. The driver who bounced her and the person who was filming? I don't want to judge no one, but it is so confusing to me. I leave it in the hands of the Creator. I leave it in His hands," she said. Her mother said she had last seen her daughter on the evening of March 19 when she visited her children and husband after attending a church service. Later that evening, she said Keisha left her family's home in Waterloo in search of drugs, something she would often do. Gat said Keisha's husband did not at first report her missing, as he was expecting her eventual return. 1 week later, she said the family had grown distraught and made a report to the police of her disappearance. Within the last month, she said the family has been told to visit the morgue on several occasions in search of a body. However, Keisha would only be identified through a photo sent to her father by staff on April 19. "They were by me on the 19th and they had just come from church. He told us that on that very evening she left. Now another thing is that she was having a problem with substance abuse, and he knew that she would often go, but she would come back. He said 1 week went by and she did not come back, so he started to get worried and went to make a report," she said. "Within that time, we got information that there is a body here and there to identify. He did the protocol thing and we saw that person was not there. 1 or 2 other family members went and it was the same thing. So we kept praying and hoping until Tuesday when we got a call from her father that someone from the morgue sent a photo of a Jane Doe and he identified her body by the picture. We went down with her husband and identified the body," she said. Her mother said she was not able to view her child's body due to the severe condition. She learned of her daughter's homicide through a video circulating on social media. She said the family has been in a state of shock with more questions than answers since the discovery. "My daughter sent me the video that was circulating some weeks back on social media, and these things of a girl being knocked down on the road and cars running over her. That was my daughter. That is when I broke down. I have so many questions. My main thing is that we did locate her body," she said. Her daughter, she said, was certain to be free of pain and in the hands of God. However, she said her potential to recover had been lost to the tragedy. She is at peace with her Heavenly Father. After so much pain and sorrow, she was really trying to wean herself off the drugs. She gave it up for a while during her last pregnancy, and she started going to church, and that was it, Gat said. "She was really trying, but such is life. We were going to try to put her in a rehab with family members putting together to see that happen, but we didn't even get to. I am dealing with it by the grace of God and what He did for us on the cross. It is not that she is gone, because if what I believe in is true, then she is in the Creator's arms," she said. No funeral plans have yet been made for Keisha Gat. Friends found dead inside car in parking lot of Marriott Hotel in Georgetown. A phone call on Friday evening led to the shocking discovery of the bodies of 2 friends in a black Honda Vezel SUV with the windows halfway down in the parking lot of the Marriott Hotel in Kingston, Georgetown, Guyana. They were identified as 2 well-known individuals, Justin Texiera, 34, a flight attendant with American Airlines, and 25-year-old Pashnareen Hasraj, also known as Richie, a local singer of Hague Bakdam, West Coast Demerara. Police investigation so far is suggesting that this might be a case of a homicide and then the perpetrator taking himself out. Police were first informed of the shocking discovery around 12:16 on Saturday morning. It was a hotel employee who found the men motionless in the car. The flight attendant was a guest at the hotel, and around 11:30 p.m. on Friday, his mother, a 60-year-old resident of Middle Road, La Penitence, Georgetown, called and requested that an employee check up on her son because he was reportedly having a seizure. Police did not divulge who informed Teixeira's mother about his condition, but reported that a hotel staff member was instructed to do so as she had requested, but when the individual got to his room on the 6th floor, he was not there. The employee then decided to check on his SUV parked in the hotel's parking lot and found him sitting motionless in the driver's seat. The employee reportedly proceeded to open the passenger side of the vehicle and saw Hans Raj in a crouched position. A 911 call was immediately made, and police arrived shortly after with an ambulance. The medical personnel on board the ambulance pronounced them dead, and police began their investigation. According to the police, it appears as if the men had consumed a deadly substance. They were seen frothing from the mouth, and there were no marks of violence on their bodies. On the back seat of the vehicle, detectives found a plastic container containing a whitish hard substance. At first glance, detectives thought it was some form of narcotics, such as crack cocaine. After removal of their bodies from the scene, detectives sent the substance to the Guyana Forensic Laboratory for testing, and while they awaited the results, some were speculating that they could have died from a drug overdose. That theory, however, quickly faded after the test results of the substance returned negative for narcotics. The lab officials told police that it could be a sodium cyanide, a substance that is lethal in small quantities, but they cannot be sure because the forensic lab does not have the capabilities to test for such toxic chemicals. Detectives have since sent samples of the substance overseas for further testing. Sodium cyanide is a highly toxic chemical compound that is mainly used in gold mining as a cheaper alternative to extract gold. In its solid form, it is white and odorless, but highly soluble and very reactive to metals. While police are awaiting the results of the test, detectives are reviewing CCTV footage from the hotel to trace the men's last movements for clues that might help them solve the case. The two men had been friends for years and are well-known individuals who are very active on the various social media platforms. Some persons believe that their final Facebook post could be a vital clue in the case. Both friends made posts just hours before their bodies were found. The first was made by Teixeira around 4:13 p.m. on Friday, and in that post he stated, with a smiling emoji at the end, "Life is like a coin. You can spend it any way you wish, but you can only spend it once." For many, this seemed like a normal post with a motivational quote, but hours later and just around 45 minutes before they were both discovered motionless inside Teixeira's car, Hans Raj made a post that raised some eyebrows. If indeed the friends' lives were taken in the way the police suspect, what drove them to do it may remain a mystery. In the eyes of the public, they were great friends, living the best of their youthful lives. Hans Raj was a talented singer who was very popular. He was reportedly planning to engage the love of his life on May 7 and had sent out invitations to all his friends and had even told one of them to ensure that she was present for the celebrations. Investigations are ongoing.